for having so much fun at this girls' night. We watch one episode, we watch the second, girls go home, and the next night I'm like, okay, time for the third. I'm so in this. Then Christian comes in, he's like, what are you watching? I'm like, boy, sit down, this is so good. So then Christian gets sucked into Love is Blind, throwing him under the bus with me. And y'all, we're just loving this show. Now, I gotta be honest with you, this is not a good show. If you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't exactly align with our morals. And so I'm watching this show, and to be honest, I start kind of feeling convicted. And I'm like, I should not be watching this show. Like, this is not good. This totally is not like following any of my morals. I should not be watching the show. But I was so invested at this point. And so I keep watching it, and I'm just ignoring my conviction. And then it gets worse. Not only am I ignoring my conviction, then I'm excusing my conviction. I'm like, you know what? I never do stuff like this. Like, come on, Sadie, don't be so serious. Just watch the dang TV show. Everyone's watching it. All your friends are watching it. Just watch. It's not that big of a deal. It's literally not that big of a deal. And so I keep trying to ignore my conviction. I keep watching this show. Unfortunately, I literally watched the entire season ignoring this conviction, but there was a moment and about halfway through the season where I went next level, because I wasn't just ignoring my conviction, I wasn't just excusing my conviction, but what I started to do is I started to think of all the good reasons as to why I'm watching Love is Blind. And I was telling my friend, you know what? It's actually such a good thing that we're watching this show, because it's really teaching us about what not to do in marriage. And you know, it's actually, I think, really helping me relate to people. And I think I can talk about these things on my podcast. And I'm now saying why it's all of a sudden a good reason to watch Love is Blind. And what I really want to talk to y'all about this morning, Liberty, is it can get really dangerous when you get good at sounding spiritual. It can get really, really dangerous when you get good at looking and sounding spiritual, when you know the right thing to say and you know how to make it look good, when in all reality your heart's in the wrong place. That's a scary place to be. And that's really where I was. And that's a small example. And before I lose you and you're like, this is so unrelatable, it's not that big of a deal, you're just watching this show, compromise is a really big deal. Compromise has big consequences. It always starts out small, but it ends up being a really big deal, and we're going to talk about that. I was actually watching this sermon during that time of my life, and I heard Brooke Lidgerwood say, she was preaching at VU Church, incredible worship leader, incredible preacher too, and she said, compromise is convincing yourself it's okay to do the wrong thing if it's for the right reason. And that's really where I was at. I was like, no, it's okay that I'm doing the wrong thing because I'm doing it for a good reason. But here's the thing, I have gotten good at knowing how to convince myself that something is good, and that is really dangerous. Now, the Bible really shows us how dangerous that is. And it's not like, you know, obviously it talks about there's a path that seems right to a man that in the end leads to death. But it really plays this out in the story of Judas. Now, before you go, oh my gosh, this is so extreme. Are you comparing my life to Judas because I was watching Love is Blind? No. But what I am saying is that if you ignore your conviction and you continue to compromise, these little things can end up being a really big thing.